Welcome back to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. Lorenzo Fon here, sitting with
Kevin Horde.
Hello, buddy.
What up, buddy?
Not much. Getting ready to talk about Cargo of Doom. We are carrying on Season 2 here. We just saw the holocron heist where CAD Bane walks away with a holocron and is headed off to get Bola Ropal, right?
Bola Ropal. One may say he heisted the holocron.
Yep. So this one, Cargo of Doom, Season 2, Episode 2, air date of October 2nd, 2009, so it actually aired right after Holocron Heist, yeah?
Yeah, this was a two-part episode, same day deal.
Mm-hmm.
Premiere of Season 2, they did a two-parter.
Just a long premiere event sort of thing.
Like an hour-long thing.
Yeah. So, what was I looking at? Just losing myself. Don't worry.
Nope, you're all good.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know if you looked it up, but this is, the production number on this one is 113, which I thought was interesting because Holocron Heist is 123.
Yeah.
So that seemed a little bizarre to me, and I know I really get stuck on those production numbers and what that actually means, and we don't have an answer for it. So
yeah,
the only thing I do is bring it up to say what the fuck, basically. Like, I don't get it. But I will say viewership on this is 1.13 million. Holocron Heist was 1.23, so lost 0.1 million people. That's what, 100,000 people?
Mm-hmm.
We have talked a little bit about what those numbers actually mean. Like, you know, is 1.13 good? Is 1.23 good? Is, you know, what is good? So, in a bit of random information, my wife and I have been watching the new series, or the new season of Homicide Hunter, Lieutenant Joe Kenda. I don't know if you've watched the show.
Nope.
So, it is, what's it run on? I think AMC is the station that it runs on. And as I do, was looking through kind of some background about this. But the season 5 premiere of that show was like 3.8 million viewers, which made it a top 5 cable program. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it said during the 2017 season, it remained a top performer with an average of 1.9 million. So for the Clone Wars to be racking in consistently over 1 million viewers, around 1.25 million, I think that's pretty good.
It's good. It just surprises me that for the premiere that it's sitting only at 1 million, right?
For the premiere of Season 2?
Yeah.
I think we're going to see those numbers go up, to be honest.
Yeah. It's just weird because, like, to me, the premiere is kind of where you would, you know, I'm not a marketer per se. I've had to do it for work and stuff, but it's not where my mind generally operates. But in terms of throwing eggs into a basket, I would want people to know that a show has started. So you always kind of, I feel like I see most advertising building up towards like the premiere, right? So Amazon, like, all year has been telling people, like, hey, Jack Ryan's coming out in August. You know, watch out in August. Jack Ryan's coming. You know, I've been seeing that all freaking year, and then now it's finally out, you know.
Now, do you feel like the marketing for quote-unquote kid show is different? Because, I don't know. Adults, I feel, are more apt to say, I'm going to watch this show at this time. Mm-hmm. And kids being kids are more opportunistic when it comes to viewership, I feel like. Rather than being able to, you know, I mean, when I was a kid, I didn't sit down and say, okay, Mom, we're going to have our hot dogs and mac and cheese at 6 o'clock so that I can watch the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at 6:30. You know what I mean?
See, it kind of it goes both ways, I would say, because I feel like I was like an avid watcher of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Okay.
Like I needed to watch every new episode of both shows too. So Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego and Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego. Those are two very different shows.
So Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego? Was that an animated series?
That's the cartoon.
Right,
And
and
then
Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was like the kids' game show on PBS.
Yes.
Where the top prize was like a year's subscription to National Geographic World Kids.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, which funny enough, I found out recently that show, random trivia on non-Star Wars related things, but Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was created because they figured out most kids couldn't figure out where certain countries, such as say Germany,
were on the map.
Was on a map. Which in like the late '80s, that was kind of an important thing to know where certain countries might be, or like Yugoslavia.
I mean, let's be honest. Some things in like Central Europe, geographically, were a little bit fuzzy in the late '80s, early '90s.
Well, it was changing a lot, so then that's why I think it was important that somebody did create a game show where the final challenge is getting a thing of flags and trying to plop them in the right spot.
I think the world map that we had at I just call it my grade school because I went to the same school from like kindergarten through 8th grade. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure that it had the USSR on it, like,
oh, sweet Lord,
all the way up until, I had moved on to another school.
Yeah. No, I, at least for my upbringing, I remember seeing some of those maps, and then the school promptly got rid of that so that we were no longer in Cold War era maps. So.
Oh, we had the Cold War maps. We had the green chalkboards, the yellow chalk, whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a long way of saying, as I tend to do, that I knew when those shows were on, but that was different because at least with Where in the World, because it was a show that would have an episode for 5 days each week. That was an easy routine to get into. Same with like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood,
right?
Sesame Street, that sort of thing. It's just there every day. Whereas then your Saturday morning cartoons, I had a general idea too, even at like 4 or 5 years old, that hey, the cartoon where they're chasing Carmen Sandiego and Sonic the Hedgehog eating chili dogs with Miles, like I knew what time those shows were on. So
wait, who's Miles?
Tails.
I thought his name was Tails.
His Tails is his nickname. Miles is his real name.
Because he runs for miles and miles?
I have no idea. I don't know if I don't know which direction the creativity went for that, but his real name is Miles. So, yeah. Because if you pay attention, when you plop in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, when they do like the roll call, it says Sonic the Hedgehog, just straight across. Sonic is his name. Mm-hmm. And then it goes Miles, quote unquote, Tails, and then something. Yeah.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. So I was that kid that always saw Miles first. I was like, oh, it's Miles. Like, he is Tails also in my head and my heart. But for whatever reason, when I kind of bring him up, Miles is kind of my go-to name with him. But yeah. But I think we've had this discussion off air. My obsession with chili dogs definitely comes from watching Sonic the Hedgehog, the cartoon series. So
yeah, because I remember I was confused for a little bit because we were talking about two different Sonics. You were talking about the Hedgehog, and I was talking about like the drive-in restaurant.
Yeah,
and they sell chili dogs.
Chili dogs, yep. I was like, no. Sonic the Hedgehog loves his chili dogs.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I played way more Sonic the Hedgehog as a kid than I ever played Mario Brothers. Mm-hmm. Because I had a Sega and not a Nintendo or an NES or Nintendo
Super
Entertainment
Nintendo.
System or whatever you want to call it. But the irony here is that I am more familiar with the Mario Brothers animated show than I am with the Sonic the Hedgehog animated show.
the one that had like the live action
Intro
brothers.
and outro.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the mustaches and the big overalls and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a good show too. That was a really good show. I liked both of them equally. Hence my memory of them eating chili dogs on Sonic and the live action intro outro with the cartoon stuff.
Yeah, they're
Super
not
Mario.
great shows.
No. Yeah. And I have actually revisited, I think, Sonic recently. And yeah, that show has not aged well. Like, it's not awful.
No, I found the Mario Brothers one on Netflix, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe last year or so. So, I convinced my wife and daughter to watch it with me. And they were like, this is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
I think we lasted like 4 minutes into like a 12-minute fucking show.
Which is so bad. Because the thing you kind of forget, the thing you definitely forget looking back, and I think this is apropos to the actual show that we meander throughout, is you kind of forget how bad low-budget hand-drawn animation was in the 80s and early 90s. Like, that shit is rough. That shit is real rough to watch. Like, there was something really well done about, like, Disney and Looney Tunes stuff, Warner Brothers stuff is kind of in its own league because the shorts were made for theatrical distribution, right?
Right.
You know, so like, especially like the Disney Silly Symphonies, that shit is still gorgeous today. Like, the animation quality on that is top notch, right? Mm-hmm. Same with Looney Tunes. It's once you kind of get into like the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo side of things.
Well, I mean, Hanna-Barbera had their own style. Like, that's what it was. And I knew where you were going with this, and I was going to say that there are different tiers of quality of hand-drawn animation.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at, when you look at the Hanna-Barbera stuff, it is presented as though it's filmed in front of a live studio audience. Like,
yes.
There's
Flintstones
laugh
is a
track.
sitcom. Yeah.
Right. So,
but what I appreciate about Scooby-Doo, I think, is the one that has aged the best in terms of straight animation style. And it's because you're right. Like, there is an animation style to it. Flintstones definitely is a little bit more rough around the edges. Like, you definitely kind of see where they're reusing cells for sure, you know? But then there's something about like that weird 80s to 90s period where I think we talked about this in the last episode or the episode before, where like I was watching the old like 80s Dragon Ball Z stuff, which is, you know, not even American stuff.
Definitely talked about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. And that animation, oh my, has that shit aged.
Oh,
so poorly.
We talked about that during our review of the Resistance trailer is probably
that's
what
right.
It was.
Yep.
That would have been like probably 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. So anyways, looping this back to Clone Wars.
Yeah, let's pull it back to Clone Wars, and then I'm going to throw an immediate wrench in the works and divert you a little bit.
Okay.
In the last episode,
there
was a dead Jedi.
Please remind me, because
so
we've had a slight vacation since recording the last episode. I don't have my notes in front of me.
Yeah, fucker. I don't remember the Jedi's name, but it's who the changeling uses to sneak into the Jedi Temple.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep.
Does this count as a death toward our death count? Because we don't see this Jedi die on screen, but we definitely see the dead body and people talking like, hey, we killed this Jedi for this purpose.
No, I think our rule was always on-screen deaths, right?
On-screen death.
Like, we're counting on-screen deaths.
Okay.
Even though we know for certain that this character is dead, I think we are counting just the act of seeing people die.
Okay. Perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
I think that was our rule on that. So anyways.
Yep. Let's jump into this thing. What you got for a fortune cookie?
The fortune cookie is overconfidence is the most dangerous form of carelessness.
Okay. And you know the question.
Yeah, I felt like this one was. I remembered this time. This felt like an ObiWan sort of thing.
Okay, so I wrote down ObiWan, and then I wrote down Nope, and I wrote down Qui-Gon.
It's the sentence structure that it's a sentiment I could definitely hear coming from both.
Okay.
It's just something about the sentence structure of it that I heard ObiWan in my head.
ObiWan it is.
That's just, I can see Qui-Gon saying it for sure. But Qui-Gon's pattern of speech he doesn't kind of flow into it. Like this one flows really well, I think.
Okay.
You know? But to me, Qui-Gon always has like the weird, like sharp, short sentences. You know, like the ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Right.
Right. It's just like,
Overconfidence is the most dangerous form of carelessness.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
It is close. But again, Qui-Gon to me was like, he was like the proto Jedi dick, sort of, you know?
Okay.
Where he was like, well, maybe I killed a Jedi and took it from him. Right?
Right.
Like,
Fuck
again,
off, little guy.
Yeah, his sentence structures are just, it's a little, this one I can go either way, honestly.
You're going Obi-Wan?
I'm still feeling Obi-Wan.
Hey, I'll agree with you on that. That was my first instinct as well, so.
Yeah. So, we're going to go with
Obi-Wan it is.
Yeah.
Side note, have you noticed that occasionally Star Wars is tweeting out little snippets? Like, what they're doing is, and I may have brought this up before, but it'll just be like a picture, black background, blue text, and it is a quote, and then, you know, it's exactly, it is similar to what we see at the beginning of these episodes that we call fortune cookies. Like, they're tweeting out fortune cookies now. The only difference is that at the bottom of it, it is attributed to a specific person.
Yeah, like they're either quotes from the movie or they're maybe even quotes from outside, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I think they've done that with, like, Kathleen Kennedy quotes. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I haven't seen any of those. I've only seen, like, character-specific ones.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen them, like, even attributed to, like, Anthony Daniels or something like that, you know? So it depends on kind of what the occasion is. Mm-hmm. So, like, on... And I really enjoy whoever's in charge of Star Wars' social media. I think they're doing a great job being self-acknowledging about the company, but also, like, the fandom. But, yeah, like, sometimes if it's, like, a certain birthday or whatever, like, they might put in, like, a Mark Hamill quote, you know, for his birthday or something like that. Or sometimes they'll just kind of bring up quotes from the movies, shows, books, and whatever.
I think usually what they do is they, like, attach it to a certain article.
Something,
you know,
like that,
it'll be like, don't tell me the odds, Han Solo, and then
here's a bunch of Solo shit.
Something about the DVD release of Solo, or I guess I should talk about the Blu-ray or digital or whatever age of format we're in. I don't know.
Media,
yeah. When does that come out, by the way?
That's a good question. I haven't pre-ordered, so I haven't paid attention.
Because I bought Infinity War the other day, but I was hoping that Solo was out.
Not yet, because I haven't received it yet.
Yeah,
probably soonish. Probably very soonish. I'll double check with you, and I'll message that to you offline at some point.
I did see today that the Ant-Man and the Wasp, Blu-ray, digital, DVD, whatever, home release was announced today with dates, but I didn't check the dates, so I don't know what they are.
I need to pre-order that one too. I wasn't the biggest fan of that movie, but I would still like to own it.
We'll talk about that one at another time.
Yeah. So, but
on to the newsreel.
Yeah, let's move on to newsreel. But yeah, that's definitely a thing that social media for Star Wars has been doing for a while, and you know, I think that's kind of like their go-to. Like the yellow text is a little too much because that's just the title. But I think the blue against Starfield is kind of. I thought
that they had listened to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For and realized that you know, we took what they were doing and rolled with it and said, like, hey, these are quotes by a certain person, and they were like, hey, that's a good fucking idea. So why don't we do that as well? So that's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm sure that's an easy template to switch out in Photoshop too, just to keep the background the same. Just type in whatever you got to type in, and Move on, yeah. So anyways, the newsreel basically is a previously on, shows CAD Bane stealing the holocron from the Jedi Temple, escaping, all that jazz. This, I think it did it in the last episode too. This one, then the newsreel continues. Yeah, the newsreel continues and it brings up new information that we were not privy to from the last episode, which is that there's a separatist fleet floating over a planet and they're trying to escape because they have Bola Rapal. And
I was gonna say that's like the big thing is like previously on, and then like bleeds into whatever information happened between the last episode and this episode.
Yep.
So this is part number 2 of a story arc, and we'll see how, you know, if we're concluded or if we continue into a part number 3, right? But it's not the way that the Malevolence trilogy worked, where the Malevolence trilogy really seemed to be like part A, episode 1, part B, episode 2, part C, episode 3, and it was like boom, boom, boom. This is like that stuff happened. There's been some stuff going on, and the newsreel starts with that shit happened. Here's catching you up to where we are now.
Stuff.
Boom.
Yep. Yeah,
which I thought was
interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really like this format because also what's interesting is if you hadn't seen the last episode,
you didn't need to.
You wouldn't need to, but also you wouldn't know what was previously on for real and what was being brought up. It would in essence all be a previously on for you, right?
Yep.
And then so they drop in the information that Bola Rapal has been captured, and then Anakin is racing over to kind of cut off the separatist fleet with his own fleet of good guy Star Destroyers. And then, he's trying to stop Bane, and then it leads right into the scene that tails off that newsreel.
And that's Anakin talking to a hollow of a clone that's like on the planet, which I didn't catch the planet name, and that's like the only time we see it is right at the beginning, and I forgot to even look it up, so I'll have to...
They never name it, but then it is in the Deveron system.
Okay, I'm writing that down.
Yeah, so Deveron system, but then again, even the Wikipedia for this episode doesn't get deeper than that. So I got nothing. But yeah, so Anakin's talking to a clone who says, who then, this did kind of bother me. The clone tells Anakin essentially the information that we got in the newsreel. While being attacked, where he's like, hey, Bola Rapal is already gone. We don't know where he is. Okay, yeah, I get that we need to know that Anakin knows this information, but I feel like there are other ways to do it without doing a straight exposition when the newsreel was so efficient about getting that out.
Yeah, there definitely are some redundancies in this episode, but I guess I just kind of glazed over that, and like my note is, Andy views a hollow of a clone on the planet who gives him the deets. Like,
yeah,
you know, but I guess that's exactly what you're saying, is like, we got the details, and then we are reiterated the details immediately after that.
Yeah.
So,
it's like,
and then
it's a 1-2 punch of the exact same information.
And almost a 1-2-3, because after that we cut to Rapal.
Yes, exactly.
With a repeat scene of something that we saw in the newsreel of him being drugged down a hallway. And then we go into what Rapal's fate is.
Yeah. So then it to me, what this does is it basically undercuts the efficiency of the newsreel by spending like a minute and a half or so, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Just playing out.
Probably somewhere around there.
Yeah. Playing out exactly what we already just saw. So anyways, Rapal is being dragged down the hallway, and then he's put in an energy bond thingy that we've seen, like ObiWan and Attack of the Clones was stuck in, stuff like that.
Yep.
So he's kind of just floating there. I do have to say that I found it inappropriately funny the way that they were just showing Rapal being dragged down the hallway.
Why is that?
I get that it's a cartoon, but there's something really funny about just watching, because he's number one face down for whatever reason, face up, serious, face down, funny. Like,
Really?
I could not tell you scientifically why that is, but there's something about just think of like the jokes in Up when Muntz is trying to find Russell, and he's like talking to the dogs. He's like, "Get me the kid," and he's like in the blimp, and then the next shot is Russell like holding balloons, just like his face slapping the glass and just getting dragged across, right? Same thing happens in, and it's lost from my mind. Infinity War. Speaking of Infinity War, when the Guardians are just flying through space, and then Thor just fucking face down splats onto the windshield. You know, something about being face down and getting drug in some form.
I understand what you're saying, but I saw the way that Rapal was being drugged. Like, yeah, he's face down, but he's also like head, like chin to chest. You don't see his face. Like, it's not like the camera's underneath him. They're like dragging him over the camera, and it's like, but there's a banana peel, because we totally get a banana peel joke later.
To me, there's just something so undignified about just having your face scraping across the floor. So that's part of it. So, like, even though you're not seeing his face, there's just something about, like, just the undignified manner in which they are just dragging his lifeless body. And then there's the added hit of them dragging him down a couple of stairs, so his body's, like, flopping like a fish.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
I got no argument there.
Yeah. So, like, at first I was like, oh, shit, he's getting dragged. And then as soon as, like I found it funny, but then it, like, crosses the threshold when he's just getting fucking flop down like 3 steps, and then what's weird is that there's this weird motion that happens. I'm just gonna
throw them up into the energy binders,
into the binders, which in this case I'm gonna kind of just throw at just animation limitations, I would guess.
Okay,
but it's just like this
surprisingly positive about whatever you're about to say. But
no, ahead. It's just like this weird motion that happens where like the droid's arm is down, and it's like one fluid motion up, and he's just in binders. Like, he's just fucking in there.
I have several notes for this episode that are simply Star Wars physics.
Yes.
And
so is the Star Wars physics or animation limitation?
I think this is Star Wars physics.
It's just weird. This the way he like straight goes in there, and there's no kind of wobbled reaction, like even if
there's a certain fluidity to it, as though he went from a dead body to like being upright and dancing the YMCA.
Yes. Well, because like let's say like you bump into glass, like there's a solid stop, but there's kind of a bounce back, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just hits this invisible wall, and there is no bounce of any sort. Like, that's what bothered me.
Agreed.
Right. Like, he just, again, I've had this complaint regarding Ahsoka's face, where he just goes from point A to point B, and there's no wiggle room. So that I just found really odd. Anyways, moving on.
I can't disagree with you. Before you move on, did you know that Bola Rapal is not the only Rodian Rapal?
No.
So trying to look him up on Wikipedia and being an excellent typist, which is not very good because I've been out of college for a while and haven't had to type many papers. There is some dude named Nuta Ropal, Noota. He's a Rodian, male, no hair color, black eyes, purple skin, affiliated with the Star Cluster Casino in the Old Republic era.
Interesting.
So I'm guessing he is from Star Wars The Old Republic video game. That is the only appearance that is listed. And I don't know if that's Dave Filoni being familiar with the old EU type situation there, or
somebody just liked the name and threw it in the script, maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Not really sure there. But our Jedi friend could be a long-distant relative of Mr. Ruta Ropal.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I'm guessing because he's a Jedi, that lineage is probably not going to continue through him. So maybe he had some siblings or something to
possibly
to continue on his legacy. But I guess we'll see.
There's one note that I made regarding what a droid says as soon as he gets thrown into the energy bond.
Is it about the XC-33?
Yeah, so mind limiter, pain pulsers, and full dose of XC-33.
So I looked up XC-33.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to hear the first sentence describing XC-33?
Please, because I did not look into it.
Okay. It says XC-33 was a type of substance.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all we got.
Yeah. It says, after that, it says, right. After Separatist forces captured Jedi Master Bolo Rapal on Deveron, the Rodian Jedi was tortured aboard. Like, it says what happens, but that's it. Like, that's the description of what is it. It is a type of a substance.
Okay.
So
that's what we got. Because that's all we ever hear from this droid. He just throws it out there.
Give him the substance. I had the same note. It's weird.
Yeah.
My next note was that Magna droids speak Magna, apparently. Like battle droids, super battle droids, communicate in basic.
Yeah.
Magna droids communicate in some type of droid speak. Droidicas don't really seem to have any vocal communication at all. But I thought it was interesting that the Magna droids are more advanced, but they don't speak basic.
Yeah. I mildly noticed that too.
Take that for what you will.
We then cut to CAD Bane on the bridge of the ship. He's apparently commanding this whole fucking thing.
He gives a compliment to Anakin inadvertently.
Yeah. Which, again, we have... This episode doesn't take place right immediately after the previous episode, so there is this weird question of, why is CAD Bane in charge of a fleet? Where did this fleet come from? Is this something... We get the answer fairly quickly, but it just from a visual storytelling standpoint, it's just a lot of things happening all at once.
Yeah, it's interesting because we see like these banking clan ships. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you do see CAD Bane in the driver's seat.
Yeah, like why is a bounty hunter in charge of like this fleet instead of his own ship, right?
Yeah.
So that I found odd, but he has plans to jump to hyperspace. But a droid informs him that there is in fact another ship that's in their way, which is the Resolute with Anakin on it. Mm-hmm. Anakin is figuring that he's gonna try and make the jump to hyperspace, so then he goes ahead and takes out the hyperdrive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep. We meet the essential good guys of this episode: Annie,
yes.
Ahsoka, and Yularen. Mm-hmm. And they talk for a little bit, and then Anakin says, "Shoot out the hyperdrive."
Yep.
And which they shoot one of the engines on the back of the ship.
Which I guess is enough to make shit not work, I guess, right?
I guess. There's a droid that is like running after Bane because Bane takes off to go convince, in air quotes, Bolo Rapal to do the shit that he wants him to do.
Yeah.
So this droid like runs down the hallway and is like, "Oh, they shut out our power converters." I don't know. It's a little bit of a stretch for me as far as I get that, get that we need to see something visually, but Anakin's like, shoot out the hyperdrive. They blow up like one of the engines, and then a droid's like, oh, they hit the power converters. Like, now we can't go to hyperspace. Like,
yes. So like, what are they hitting?
What?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
things are happening of convenience to make sure that these ships are not going anywhere because we're in space.
Exactly.
Is what the deal is.
So then this gives Anakin the opportunity to form a plan, which is to board the ship. Yularen expresses some concern that they aren't actually a ship that's prepped to board another vessel. They were only meant to land on the planet. I do want to bring up that Yularen seems
C-3PO.
He seems uncharacteristically surly in this episode versus Yularen in past episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just me, or have I been reading his character completely wrong up to this point?
No, I don't think you have been reading his character completely wrong. The way that I read him in this episode is more of like a fed-up Yularen.
Okay.
Especially because of a comment that he makes later.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I think I know what comment you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely seems snappier. Whereas like C-3PO is anxiety ridden, I guess, is how I would plant that. But Yularen just seems pissed and surly.
He's definitely more crabby and opinionated in this episode.
So then even Anakin has like this weird, slightly off character moment where he's like, well, thanks for your opinion, Yularen, but this is what we got to do.
I think that they've been bunking up for too long without the refreshers working, and they're sick of each other.
And that's a good interpretation. I will go along with that, but again, in the way this story is being told, it's so left field from everything else we've seen. And especially that this is like the second part to a two-parter, and the fact that we have been watching these episodes in chronological story order, so it's just like a weird jump from seeing like normal Yularen knows what needs to be fucking done and just will do it no matter how difficult it may seem sort of thing, to like what the fuck are you talking about, Anakin? Like this is
okay, so maybe his professionalism is slipping on occasion.
Yes. Yeah.
Because initially what he was doing when he comes down to the docking bay is he's trying to help. Yeah. He's like, okay, Anakin, what can I do to help your plan? And then Anakin is like, oh, well, we're going to board the ship. And he goes, hey, dipshit, like, we don't have ships to go and board the other ship. We were supposed to land on the planet. My biggest complaint about this is it's a fucking 1 mile long ship. Like, you only bring, like, you only have like 8 things that you can put on, in your docking bay.
Well, yeah, because like, and then Rex brings it up where even Rex to some degree is like, look, all we have is like the Twilight and a couple other speeders or something like that. We don't actually have any assault ships, he brings up. So then that's when Anakin points at like 3 ATTEs. Right. So I agree. It is weird that they didn't bring any other provisions, I guess.
Yeah, they don't have any gunships. They don't have any V-19 starfighters. They have like 4 ATTEs. And that's it.
Yeah.
In this, so then, we know that the docking bay is like 3/4 of a fucking mile long.
Yeah. But
and
that's it.
It has like 20 separate fucking docking bays in it. But in a separate area, they have 4 ATTEs. And that's it. And Yularen points out that they're designed for terrain, which is the second letter in the AT, all terrain, not space. Because Anakin's plan is to get in the ATTEs and kind of just throw those over to CAD Bane's ship.
Yep.
And by the way, I was not comfortable with calling him Bane. Because of Darth Bane, not Bane from Batman, Batman Bane, Darth Bane.
Okay, I can see that. It is interesting because even when I take notes, my notes get like all jumbled because, depending on who the characters are, most of the characters in this episode are calling him Bane, but I feel like in the last episode they were calling him CAD more, or am I mistaken?
Maybe it was like the one female
the other assassin
hunter
lady. Yeah, I feel like she was calling him CAD, so it's really weird how this goes back and forth a little bit.
It's time for the daily podcast page rustle as Kevin looks around for things.
But anyways, yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from.
I think you're probably right, because it looks like my notes say Bane in the last episode and CAD in this one.
Yeah. So then my notes get all jumbled up where like sometimes I'll write Bane, sometimes I write CAD, and then I confuse myself re-looking at my notes later.
Yep.
But anyways,
so we get an answer to a question we had in probably episode 3 or 4 of the Clone Wars.
Which is
how the fuck the ATTs climbed that mountain thing.
Yes. So when Anakin does bring up the plan and Yularen again is acting like a fucking asshole, Rex and Ahsoka kind of think out Anakin's plan, and you kind of get this scene where Ahsoka brings up that the tanks are in fact pressurized, and I'm assuming sealed, which, because to me those are two very different things. Like, planes are pressurized, but like there's not a full airlock per se, right? Like you still have like the wheel well. Like, you still have the wheel wells and shit that have, like, little cracks in them.
Yeah, but the cabin is pressurized.
Yes.
That's... like, you have to... The cabin has to be sealed to be pressurized.
I guess.
You can't have a balloon with a fucking leak in it. It ceases to be a balloon, and it turns into, like, a funny flying fart device.
I suppose. Because I think one of the big misconceptions is that, like, tiny hole will suck somebody through sort of thing. Like, that's not quite how that works. Like, you lose pressure,
That was proven, case in point, recently on the ISS, where there was an air leak and the guy stuck his fucking finger in it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was fine. It was
right.
I mean, it wasn't fine, but
it worked.
It wasn't a fucking tragedy, yeah. So yes, exactly.
I will say it doesn't matter if they're sealed or pressurized, because we know that the fucking clone trooper armor is both sealed and pressurized, so it doesn't matter.
You are correct. You are correct in that that line of thinking.
Her argument,
it's just a bonus.
It's a moot point. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Yularen shouldn't even fucking worry about that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So then Rex brings up that they have the magnetic feet, correct? So then they're all like, hey, this might be a good plan after all. And Yularen is like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like,
the magnetic feet were the answer that I was talking about to Castle of Deception.
Yes.
Clone Wars episode 4. These aren't the nerds you are looking for, episode 6. So head back to that, if you want to hear us argue about how the fuck these things are able to climb a wall, which tells me that that
there's some sort of magnetic force then in the rock itself. Because that can't happen on every mountain. That can't
No.
happen on every cliff.
It has to, yeah. There's got to be like some iron ore or something on Teth, you know?
Yeah.
It's got to be like the iron ore planet.
Mm-hmm. So something funky was happening there for it to be able to do that. I still have questions about the idea of them going from the bottom to the top, but that's from so many episodes ago. We have to move forward.
That's all right.
So, and then somebody can tell me how planes work, please, because I've never understood the plane to have to be like completely sealed per se, but you might be so right on that. I think.
Yeah. The only thing I'm thinking is and I don't know how it works. I believe there's a way to move from like the cabin compartment to the cargo compartment.
See, that's why I didn't think there had to be a tight seal, but unless there's some sort of airlock that I've been missing, per se.
But so, are we sure that the cargo compartment is not pressurized as well? Because if you ship your dog, they go in the cargo compartment.
Again, because
they're gonna be cold,
which I think they are, because I've definitely gotten luggage, and my luggage I can feel is much colder than where the fuck I am, per se. You know, this is somebody with actual science knowledge, please let us know how planes work. But I've always been under the impression that pressurized cabin, non-pressurized cargo, you have the ability to go between both,
right?
Which might not actually be true. Maybe that's like some Hollywood fiction that I'm picking up on,
right?
Because the cargo is also in the same like section of plane where like the wheels go into.
Right.
And
so what if this happens? Mm-hmm. What if when you open the hatch to go to the cargo area, you drop the pressure in the cabin compartment, but you do not just decompress it like fucking breaking a window out, because it's still a confined area. Like I don't think there's just a giant hole in the bottom of a fucking plane that the wheel sticks out of.
No,
unless the entire plane is non-pressurized, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so like that's like the wheel well is kind of where I need somebody to confirm whether my thoughts are true or if I've just been thinking this wrong. But like, you know, like the flaps that close underneath the wheel. When
I'm sure there's some sort of seal there. It's not like
is there?
You could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's what I just never knew. So again, somebody can figure this out. But let's just move forward because we're not.
I'm going to investigate. You move forward with some deets on this thing.
Let's move on forward here. So Bane starts torturing Rapal to try and get information on using the holocron or to get him to open the holocron so that he can put the information or the Kyber memory crystal, right?
Yeah, they just called it a memory crystal in this episode. I was kind of disappointed in that because like they made a big deal about calling it a Kyber crystal in the last episode.
Yes.
In this episode, it's just a memory crystal.
A
memory crystal.
Yeah. Which so it made me kind of a crystal that has information, and it needs the holocron to be able to read said information. Bane starts turning up the, I guess like the electricity bit on
energy
this
feed,
stuff.
Whatever you want to call it.
So then he starts. He tells the droids to turn it up, and the droids are like, "Hey, he might not last that much longer." And then Bane is like, "Are you a fucking medical droid? No, then turn it up." Which he's
like, "Yeah, back off and do what I say."
Yeah, he's like, "Shut up, do this, turn it up." I was so annoyed by that line for so many reasons. Like,
I thought that line was hilarious, and I was annoyed by something else.
Okay, well, so maybe it wasn't like the line specifically, but just like this whole moment of CAD Bane torturing a guy the guy clearly is at the end of his rope. Like they've been at this, right?
Well,
it's not like they just started.
Not only that, but he talks to CAD Bane talks to Bolo Rapal.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, give me the information, like open the holocron, and Bolo Rapal's like, no, I would never do that, I'm not doing it. And so he turns around to the droid and he's like, all right, shock him again, full power. And the droid's like, okay, sir, and turns the knob, and you see the little light beam, like, thing,
the meter
progress
like
bar,
going up.
We'll call it, like, fill up all the way. And then that's when the droid goes, sir, I don't think he can take much more of this. Then we get the medical droid joke, which I thought the medical droid joke was funny. And then Cad's like, more power. And then they turn it up again, and then, like, you see the progress bar, and it's only at, like, 75%.
And then it goes up a little bit more.
And then it goes
11.
up more. Yeah. I guess they turn it up to 11, and spoiler alert, Rapal doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Hashtag
like within the span of, like, 30
points for the
seconds.
Clone Wars, or the Clankers.
But, like, this happens in the span of, like, I don't know, 30, 60 seconds, something like that. It happens fairly quickly. So that's kind of why I was annoyed. Like, I don't know what Bane is thinking. I don't know why he thinks this is going to work. I don't know why it has to be rushed so badly. Like, I know, like, the threat of the other Jedi showing up is looming, but nonetheless, it's like, I don't know.
In my opinion,
I've never
what
tortured
it was,
somebody, so it just seems like the weird way to go about it.
I think that he thought that he could stick it to this Jedi. And I think most of the people that CAD Bane deals with, 1, fold under pressure. Mm-hmm. 2, can't take that much pressure to begin with before A, they fold, or B, they die.
Yeah.
And this Jedi, because he has killed Jedi before, i.e. the one in the last episode, whose name I cannot remember. And so he goes, like, straight to the max. Like, max it out. You're doing this for me. Nope, I ain't doing it. All right. I can give him the max again. And expired. So he's dealt with Jedi before. He knows that he needs to push it to the limit, and this guy's already said, I ain't helping you out, so he's going to push him as far as he can push him, hoping fingers crossed that that Rapal gives in. When he doesn't, he's like, all right, we just need to formulate another plan, and next time I'll use a different approach. He had an idea. The idea failed. He pushed this Jedi to the limit, killed the Jedi, adapted, moved on, done.
I think
he's a badass.
Yeah, I think that's, like, what bothers me is, like, he's been hired by Sheev himself,
Mr. Sheevil.
Yeah. So, like, he has some renown, but if this dude is just, like, going around killing people inadvertently because he kind of sucks at torturing people, then what the fuck is he good for?
I don't know if I agree that he sucks at torturing people, but we see some torturing later. So
he sucks at the reasoning that you would want to torture somebody, right?
He needs him to fucking do something.
Yeah, but then he can't do it if he's dead, right?
Yeah, but he's also not the only person that can do it. He is a person that he has right now. And he also knows that 2 other people that can do it are on their way.
That is true. So, with that information, that is fine. But then it's also just something you can't guarantee at the moment, right?
Very true.
A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the fucking bush.
Here's my question. The person that is paying him to do this, he knows to be a Sith Lord.
Yes.
Can Sith not open Jedi holocrons?
I fucking guess not, because if this is the plan that is being thrown out, either that or the Sith Lord does not want to make a personal appearance or something.
Well, he's supposed to turn the information over to the Sith Lord.
But, yeah, so then why not just give him the whole set, I guess, right?
Right, why not give him both pieces?
Yeah.
And then Sheevil can be like, "Ooh, I understand. I will look this over at my private chambers." Or whatever.
Yeah, we'll figure this out. But yeah, this you bring up a very good point that this is a weird way to go about things, and I have no answer for that.
Tangent.
Yeah,
I have looked up whether or not the cargo hold of a plane is pressurized.
Yes.
And here's the information I have for you.
Go for it.
The round shape of a fuselage outline is very efficient and withstanding pressure. Because of that, everything within the fuselage shape is pressurized. This includes the cargo hold below.
Ew.
Only cargo holds located behind the aft pressure bulkhead would be unpressurized, and they are mainly found in smaller aircraft.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So, yeah.
That is courtesy of aviation.stackexchange.com.
All right, there we go. I know nothing about planes.
There you have it.
I know how they fly. I know nothing beyond that.
And I guess that makes sense because it's round. So, like, if you're pressurizing, it's like...
It's just even pressure throughout the whole fucking thing then, right?
Yeah, could you imagine having, like a balloon animal balloon before you make it into a balloon, but you only pressurize, like, 2/3 of it? So, like, there's like, a flat area that goes, like, bisects the length of it, like you're cutting a hot dog long ways, and, like, the bottom part isn't pressurized, so it'd just be, like, wrinkly hanging there.
Yeah.
Gross looking.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go.
That all makes sense now. Okay. So anyways, Rapal is dead. And then Newt Gunray calls Bane to check on the status of shit. And then this is when we find out that this is actually Newt Gunray's fleet of ships and droids that Bane is in command of. So then my question is, it moves from why is he in charge of a fleet to, in addition, why did Newt Gunray trust him with a fleet of ships?
And Newt Gunray basically says, "I don't know why I did this, but..."
Yeah, Newt's all pissed off because, like...
The Sith Lord told me to do it, now I did it, and now I wish I wouldn't have done it, so what are you doing? Like, you already lost 4 ships, and...
Yeah, exactly.
We've got some interplay back and forth here. The ATTEs are dropped out of the Good Guy Star Destroyer. Mm-hmm. And my comment on this was that it was like the same type of bomb drop that we see in The Last Jedi.
Yes, yeah.
Where there's no propulsion. They're not like thrown out or anything. Like they drop out and they continue down. Boom, they hit the ship. And I know that a lot of fucking nerds out there have like a huge fucking problem with gravity, right? Ooh, fucking bombs wouldn't fall because no gravity in space, but it all makes sense to me because, long story short, the way that I read it is that you're in the ship and you're falling and then you hit the no gravity situation of space and you just continue moving in that direction.
Yeah. The momentum keeps going until acted upon by an outside force, such as hitting the hull of another ship.
Right. I have issues with Star Wars gravity in this episode 2 or 3 times. We've already seen it once. And this works perfectly fine. But I find it really interesting because I think that this has happened 3 or 4 times in the past where we're like, you know, I have compared a shot to either The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens. Mm-hmm. And I would like to say I know for a fact, but I can't say that because I don't know the directors of the the Disney era Star Wars films, right? But I would not think that they're sitting around talking to Dave Filoni and reviewing episodes of a fucking cartoon.
No. Because here's the thing. With a shot like anything dropping out of a plane in this fashion, the reference isn't Star Wars. The reference is other war movies.
Right, but it hasn't just been specifically like this particular type of shot. We've had other things that we've seen in the past where we're like, okay, well that, like, we saw something that like this that happened in Solo or in Rogue One or in The Force Awakens. Like, we've seen 2 or 3 things that were not. I think if these were both live action cinematic adventures and the Clone Wars was a self-contained 2.5 hour movie, and later we saw the same things mirrored in J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens, people would have been like, dude, J.J. totally took that. They're like, there's an homage here and there's an homage here, but I think it's coincidence that these things appeared in an animated show a decade earlier or a half a decade earlier or whatever.
Yeah. Again, I think there's definitely some coincidence to it. I think, again, it's just there's just the bigger coincidence is just of the cinematic language it takes to tell some of these things. I'm trying to think of any of the other specific things we might have seen regarding things from Solo or Last Jedi,
right,
that tie back into Clone Wars. I can't think of anything off the top of my head right at this moment. But something like this, you want to show something dropping out. So like I said, other war movies, or say like Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Learn to Love the Bomb. Is that the full title?
That one I don't know.
But there, just the shot of bombs dropping out of planes is something that goes back to, say, I think like the 30s or 40s. There might be other things with, say, Solo that might be referencing Westerns that Clone Wars also coincidentally happens. They might be referencing the same thing, but then because we're kind of skipping over the reference, we then think of Last Jedi referencing back to Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, okay.
Instead of going back farther.
I will.
Or to other certain things.
I will totally take that explanation unless I find...
like it's gonna have to be something,
a specific example of something we've already talked about.
I'm curious to try and think of any previous things we might have brought up, but then it'll be something to look forward to in the future. Something that we might feel as a Clone Wars reference, and then trying to extrapolate if it is indeed a Clone Wars reference or might be something bigger then, right? Kind of like when we had that weird fucking episode with the weird fucking music, and then I just went on like a fucking giant tangent of the weird skits and beats and shit that people were pulling out from whatever.
Duel of the Droids?
Yes, that's the one.
Or Downfall of the Droid. No, it was one of those two.
It was one of those two.
Yeah, Downfall of a Droid was first, and then Duel of the Droids.
I feel like it's... I don't know. It's the one where I think I actually even edited in the... I forgot what the fucking thing is. The aim and break or something like that. So
the almond break?
The almond break, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways... So yeah, that's kind of the trick with Star Wars too, where it's like we might feel like something is referencing maybe even like A New Hope, but even then, like A New Hope is referencing like Seven Samurai, or
for sure,
something like that, right? So there's, with the way the Star Wars universe works, because the whole thing is a giant reference to Westerns and samurai films and old 1930s serials, right?
I totally didn't understand a lot of that stuff until, like, English Comp 2 in college. Because I took, like, a film-based English composition class. So everything that we wrote was about film essentially.
Yeah.
Which was pretty awesome. So like my final in that was what the fuck did I write for my final? I wrote a research paper on like the structure of the Empire and the Catholic Church, like mirroring each other. But I do remember us watching like part of Star Wars and then like part of other older samurai movies, and before that I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
it was crazy. And then like by that point Attack of the Clones was out, so there's even like more stuff in Attack of the Clones, like when Anakin goes to attack the Tusken Raider village. There's shot for shot, callbacks to other things that happened in the past. So
yeah, absolutely. And like that, and Lucas was always open about that, which I appreciated, right? Because that's
definitely
kind of the again, we're gonna get a little sidetracked, but that's kind of like my whole anger of criticism lobbed at Force Awakens as being too similar to A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just how stories work, right? Like, there are only so many stories to be told. This is the Joseph Campbell view of things, and Lucas was putting all of his stock into that, right?
Right.
So then I'm like, if you're mad about that, then you got to get mad about A New Hope for stealing the structure off of the Hidden Fortress. Like, people lob I think we've talked about this maybe, where people lob criticism against Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, as being, oh, it's just like Pocahontas. I'm like, yeah, and Pocahontas was like Dances with Wolves,
Well, I was gonna say that the Blue People Dances with Wolves movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, it's all a fucking same story structure with a different shell on it. Avatar put on a pretty epic shell on top of the same story structure, okay? Like, because then, like,
so speaking of Avatar, I was one of those people that did not see Avatar in the theater. Okay,
it's a shame, yeah.
And so the first time that I saw Avatar was just on like DVD on probably like a standard definition television, maybe like a 32-inch flat screen.
Sweet Lord, yeah.
Whatever. So it was a movie, but it was not this epic fucking adventure experience that I had heard talked about.
Yeah.
So maybe retelling the story of Dances with Wolves in a new visual technology in a certain environment, it like elevates it to the next level. But for me, I'm meh on it.
Again, yeah, like well, I mean, that's why to me the format does matter too, right? Movie theaters with the better projection, better seats, whatever. There's certainly a limit. I don't need my seats to fucking rumble, which is an annoying new thing that's happening. I need my seats to move, especially.
Yeah, we don't have that where I'm from.
In Michigan, they had like the D box seats, and I fucking hated that shit. But
is that like a douche box?
Basically, yeah. Like the seats literally move like one of those weird like carnival motion simulator experiences. And it's just fucking dumb. The whole thing is fucking dumb. But no, is
that like a holdover from like the theater of like the 50s? Like, wasn't that a thing in like the 50s or 60s?
No, because this is slightly different. Because like it's weird because the theater that did it in Grand Rapids, like they would have like 2 rows of it, and the rest of the seats were still normal seating. But what was weird was like I would be sitting behind somebody that was sitting in one of these moving chairs, so you just hear like a low rumble of like the motor, like.
That's just what the girl in front of you told you was going on.
Basically, yeah, that, yeah. No, but so there is still. I get it from your perspective watching Avatar on a small screen. Like, because same thing will happen in Dark Knight and in Interstellar. Like, I watched Interstellar on Blu-ray and Dark Knight on Blu-ray, but so much power has been lost by not having those movies seen in IMAX on 70 millimeter film. Even Dark Knight, as much as I love that movie and appreciate it, like I can't get into it as much on home format because there's a grandeur to
the IMAX.
To the IMAX and the clarity of a 70 millimeter print and the insane bass that Hans Zimmer likes to put in all of his fucking soundtracks. Inception was same thing, you know, that low fucking rumble of a nothing but bass. But anyways,
it's all about that bass.
Yeah,
it's no trouble.
Yeah. Oh God. But even looking at like the movies that are nominated for Oscars every year, right? Like Moonlight. That's a coming of age story, and by virtue of me saying that it's a coming of age story means that it's a story that has been told before because we put a fucking name on it.
Right.
On the story structure itself.
Right.
But then Moonlight walks away with a fucking Oscar because it's just well done, you know? It's a well done movie that did add a few other things into it to make it, you know, more present. But then even La La Land, that's the same story that we saw from The Artist that won a handful of years ago. And The Artist itself is very similar to A Star is Born and Singing in the Rain. And guess what the fuck is coming out this year? The third goddamn remake of A Star is Born, you know? And that's a story that's going to be exactly the same. It's literally a fucking star who makes her way up, and then the dude gets all pissed off. And have you seen the other Star is Born's movies?
I have not.
Well, I've seen the first two. There's a third with Barbra Streisand that I have not seen, and Chris Christopherson. But I mean, the first two movies are literally exactly the same, but then they wrote new music to turn it into a fucking musical. There you go, new shell. You know,
I did see like Race Day or Champion or something about a wiener dog that was adopted by a family, and this kid turns him into like a racing dog.
Oh Jesus.
I was a part of that.
Oh God. What?
But I haven't seen The Star is Born.
Yeah, you should watch at least the first one and the second one. Like, they are both individually very good movies, and they were made I think under 20 years apart. Like, I want to say 37 and then 54 is the gap there. 76 is the next gap, and then 2018 is the new gap. But
interesting.
The first two with that gap, it's same thing. Just you get like a killer performance out of Judy Garland for the Star is Born remake, the first remake, but the story beats are so similar that I have slight trouble. Like, my memory gets blurred of the two, if that makes sense.
It does. I gotta pull you back in though.
Yes, yeah, we gotta move on.
I gotta.
Yeah, let's move on. Anyways,
we're about 6 minutes into this Clone Wars episode.
All right, let's start.
You want to do a little speed run here for a little bit?
Let's do a speed run. So we're trying to figure out. Newt gave Bane some ships. Why? Moving on. So the droid battle is happening on the ship exterior. Anakin and Ahsoka, they're in space suits, so they're actually outside of the tanks themselves as they're
this is I think moment number 2 of Star Wars physics, where like I get it that Anakin and Ahsoka have force powers and they can jump highly, right? And whatever, and part of this is, I'm guessing, because of 0Gs, but they can also just kind of do like Superman leans and then like point their head a certain direction, and then like that's where their momentum goes. This bugs me. Like, you have the Force, You have this ability that you can use in this visual storytelling medium. Just fucking use it.
Yeah.
Don't make it stupid. Like, you're not on the moon, like, bouncing around in, like, 18% gravity, like everybody else. Like, you have to have magnetic feet, and the clone troopers are holding on to shit. But the Jedi can just, like, willy-nilly, like, they're, like, swimming.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Absolutely.
That's all I'll say about that until we get to it again shortly.
The other weird thing I didn't like about this scene, too, is the design of their spacesuits, which just look like regular clothing with a fishbowl helmet.
Yeah.
Speaking of how seals and pressurization works, like that visually was a major disconnect for me. But anyways, continuing on forward.
Also, there's no reason that any of these people should be outside of the fucking walkers. They should be inside of the walkers.
Yeah,
that's what they are. They're tanks. Yeah. This is everybody on the outside of a tank being dropped out of a plane to land on top of another plane, and then they're just gonna fight on top of the tank.
Yes. Yeah.
Anakin, loved your idea when you were like, let's use the walkers to get over there. But you failed when you were like, let's all get out of the walkers and like then fight. No, just stay in the walker. Just blow a hole in the fucking ship.
Yeah,
or what they do is they send R2 to like open up some hatch or some shit.
Yeah, which I don't.
That's cool.
Understand.
Walk over to the hatch.
Yeah, like wouldn't it have been stealthier to just drop people towards the area instead of like drawing attention with 3 giant fucking tanks that?
And we have also seen that as well.
Yes, exactly. So that was problematic. We cut back to Bane, who then tells the droids that he wants all controls on his wrist comm. Number 1, how is that a thing that works? And number 2, if that's a thing that works, then why don't all ship captains just have that ability to control shit on the fly?
Because he is CAD Bane and he is fucking badass.
I guess. Also, with a limited amount of buttons, how do you know what button you're actually hitting on your wrist thingy? Like,
I don't know if you've noticed before, but often when you see clones on a bridge or droids on a bridge, like, none of the buttons are labeled. They're just fucking pushing buttons.
Just pushing some random fucking buttons. I agree, yeah. So, anyway, so Bane starts making his. He tells the droids to hang out on the bridge and defend the bridge, and then Bane immediately just fucking disappears into a vent of some sort.
Yeah, there's some badass, awesome, super like trapdoor behind a light, which is cool.
If that, he still like ends up kicking it a couple times to like get into there, which is weird. Like,
the Mornians don't know about it.
It was just weird. It was just a weird thing to see him just kicking at part of the ship to escape into it. As soon as he gets out of there, of course, the Jedi show up. Very convenient. Starts fucking mowing down the droids. There's a little joke with one of the droids going, "No, I'm not the
commander. He is."
Yeah,
the
and then they shoot that
shot, and then he goes, "Oh shit! I guess that means I'm the commander," and he gets shot. Yeah, which is yeah. Go ahead. These are funny Clone Wars animated TV show moments.
That one was just so oddly played to me. It was just like one of those weird, like, why would the clones stop to give this droid the time of day before just shooting them in the face?
Why does it happen anywhere at any point in time in any movie?
I guess.
For comedic timing, because it's funny.
I guess. That one to me fell flat for me. That one, I will say, fell flat.
Okay.
It was one of those, yeah.
That's 0 for Lorenzo, 2 for Kevin.
Yeah, that one fell flat.
R2 is put on the task of finding Ropal.
Yep. An explosion occurs.
And Yularen says, abort mission, get the fuck out.
Yeah, he can see it from the outside, and it's looking real bad. He's recommending to not stay away from the aft section. Ahsoka notes that there's no time to get the holocron, really, if the ship is really about to blow up. But then she looks at the silver lining and says, hey, if the ship blows up with the holocron, then that means Newt Gunray's not getting the holocron either. So that could be a win for us. Anakin, however, still wants to go after the holocron. So holocron is still main directive.
So this is our primary tension for the rest of the episode. Is we vacillate between, do we have time, don't we have time? And both of the characters do it. Ahsoka and Anakin both do the we don't have time, we do have time, we don't have time, we do have time.
Yep.
Like, I need to do this, and the other one's like, no, we don't have time. And then
it swaps.
And then they flip-flop back and forth. Yep. This is the tension, the main tension throughout the rest of the episode.
Yes. There is a good moment I did like coming up where as they're making their way through the ship to get after the holocron, the explosion seems to have turned off the lights, and Rex...
No, it was Bane. Bane did it.
Oh, Bane did it. Okay. Yes, Bane does it, and then Rex walking around bumps his head on a pipe in the dark. I like that. Physical humor to me is funny. Also because that is a good callback to the fact that Jango hits his head.
Which is also a call forward.
Callback. Yeah, call forward to A New Hope. Yeah. Bump in the head. Yeah. That's a direct line.
So
that's a direct line.
It was a good gag, but I felt like it was poorly executed. Because it looked like a little kid like walking into something and being like,
I don't disagree.
I hit my head.
I don't disagree. And what's weird is that the way they animated it, the pipe is clear as day.
And like, he almost tilts his head forward and whacks his head on.
Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
What I thought was funnier is the gag that comes after this, or what I saw as a gag, where, you know, he's like, "Oh shit, I hit my head!" Like, "Hey, everybody, night vision!" And all of the other clone troopers with him have like the binoculars that like
that fold down.
They're like the Catwoman from
Dark Knight Rises,
where they like flip up on
the
top
goggles,
of their heads.
go down,
pull them down, so the other 6 clone troopers pull these things down, and then he has like the one little visor that Boba Fett has.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, this covers like a half of his eye.
Yeah, like what is he looking at? I agree.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
He can't see a night vision.
Yeah.
Not with that.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was doing.
So I thought that was funny, but then I also thought that like the helmets themselves, like you just turn night vision on and then the T-visor like does something to like screen because, I mean, I guess I don't know what it is in new canon, but old canon, like it wasn't, the T-visor isn't just like sunglass material.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have like a heads-up display on the inside like Tony Stark does.
Mm-hmm.
So Tony Stark doesn't see out of the eyes of the Iron Man suit.
Yeah, it's a display that he's looking at.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the Clone Trooper armor.
Yeah,
as far as I am concerned.
What I thought it was too, but I agree that when they were turning on night vision, I thought they were going to just push a button, not physically move a contraption.
And if it wasn't for these particular troopers, that's exactly what would have happened.
Yeah.
It's like they may have hit something on their wrist or on their rifle or on their nipple or something. Who knows? You know, like...
So, I agree.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So we're chasing after
Bane.
Yep. Chasing after CAD.
So they spot Bane in the dark, and then they run off after him. He leads them to a room full of droids. They get in a gun battle. Bane turns off the gravity during the battle, which surely leads to more problematic visuals, as I will say. Because there are a few...
He turns off the gravity, but the lights are now on.
Yes. So he turns the lights on to be like, look, I got you into the strap, and all the droids shoot them. So then that fucking happens. And then, like, what doesn't make sense is that Rex is like, turn on your magnetic boots. We've trained for this, blah, blah, blah. So then, like, some of the clones are still floating around. What doesn't make sense to me is, I mean, I guess we have the understanding that the lasers are massless then, because every time they're shooting, they're kind of still just floating where they are. There's no recoil. There's no pushback.
Well, so not even that, but CAD Bane turns off the gravity, and everybody starts to float upwards.
Yes.
Is this because the ship is moving down? Because otherwise they're going to stay where they are until they jump or shoot or whatever.
They don't need to jump, but maybe it's like even if you try and take a step, you're automatically kind of pushing yourself in that forward and upwards trajectory.
Right, but they don't even do that, and that's not what happens. Like,
yeah, they just automatically start floating up. Yeah,
yeah, it's the movie
agree.
starts floating up, and all of these droids are magnetically clamped to the ground, right? But if they get shot in the torso and their torso separates from their legs, like the torso just starts floating toward the ceiling. There is a mistake often when zero gravity is portrayed as anti-gravity, where if you're in zero gravity, that means you move up away from the floor, which is not the case.
No.
If you push off the floor, you will move up. But when you hit the ceiling, if you push off the ceiling, you will just continue moving down.
Yeah.
Until you hit the floor. And then if you fucking push yourself off of one wall, you'll move to the other wall. And it's not...
Yeah. Like an object at rest stays at rest until acted upon by an outside force. So
like if we had the ability to turn off gravity on the Earth, we wouldn't just start floating up toward the clouds. Unless you jumped.
Unless you jump or push or do something.
Sitting in your chair as you are now,
yeah,
and you turn the gravity off in your apartment, you would not float up to the fan above your head.
No. So I agree. Yeah, like this is where most of the problems for this scene definitely comes up.
This is Star Wars physics number 3.
Yes. Yeah. So they're trying to play it off visually. And there are just some other weird things that kind of happen. So, like, the magnetic boots statement gets made. A clone then, like, grabs on... So, one of the floating clones grabs onto, like, a bar and, like, hangs off the edge of a weird platform. But there's still, like, 3 just floating around. And then CAD Bane shoots one who is not even looking the right direction. And I don't know how that came about.
Because zero gravity, so he just was spinning aimlessly.
I guess.
Sad for him. He got
shot literally in the back. Yeah. So that all happens. My other question is that Anakin starts to reach for the holocron, which is floating.
I know where this is going.
R2 turns on the gravity, which then prevents him from grabbing it, but then... force in any of this? Why is that not a thing?
Right.
Like, why does he not force pull it towards him? Why is he not... Even when the gravity gets turned back on, why is he just staring at it instead of fucking going for it? Because CAD Bane gets it back in, like, 5 seconds.
He's probably... I think the delay at that point is because he just smashes his face onto the floor.
Okay, fair.
My note is that R2 turns on the gravity right when Anakin forgets how to force pull.
Yeah.
It's
because he's like inches away from like grabbing the holocron.
And it's moving like super slowly.
Again, I don't know why it's moving in that trajectory. Like,
I agree. I wish there would have been a better explanation of... You know, I wish that it could have been something to the effect of, like, Anakin is using the Force to pull the thing back towards him, and CAD Bane is smart enough to turn the gravity back on, which fucks shit up at that point.
Yeah.
And because of the immediate gravity shift, like, that's what happens. And it works in CAD's favor. In this instance, it is set up as a joke because Ahsoka's like, R2, turn the gravity back on. You see him fly off with his rockets. I feel like we only see R2 like 2 times in this episode, and both times somebody's like, hey, R2, go do this, and he just like flies by with his rockets.
Yeah, he's going off to do droid things, yeah.
Right. So I think there could have been a better setup here with CAD Bane manipulating the environment around them to counteract the ability of the Force within the Jedi. I think that would have been awesome.
I agree. Like, this is
otherwise it's just kind of a generic, like, 2 times generic 0G clones and Jedi and droids
and
fighting activity.
Yeah, I agree. For sure. So then gravity's back on. Bane runs out of the room. Ahsoka follows him.
They are hauling fucking ass.
Yeah, they are full sprint. Like Usain Bolt. Just getting the fuck out of there. Anakin yells at Ahsoka to not follow him and says that it's a fucking trap. And Ahsoka just keeps running like a fucking idiot, I guess.
Well, yes and no, because this looked like a bad edit to me. Except for... So if this was like a live action thing, this would be... They shot the same thing from 2 different angles. They shot one person running... they shot Ahsoka running out of a room. And then they shot another angle of her running into a hallway.
Yeah.
Because Anakin says... What's he say? Wait, Ahsoka, it's a trap, as she's running out of the room, and then it cuts to her running towards the camera.
Yeah, through the hallway, like a
through
yellow
the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at first she's running away from the camera, like out of the door. And Anakin goes, wait, Ahsoka, it's a trap. And then it cuts and it shows her running through the same door towards the camera down the hallway. And Anakin goes, wait, Ahsoka, we'll take him together. Yeah. Like, it read to me as a bad edit. But it's not. Does that make sense?
Sort of. I mean, so like, is the bad edit to you like the timing of what he's saying, or like her geography in relation to when he's saying what he's saying, or
the timing of what he's saying?
Okay.
Because it's like an ad-libbed line as this transition is supposed to be happening. And instead of using one or the other, they used both. Okay. Matt Lautner, what you're going to do here is you're going to, like, you get, like, wait Ahsoka, like, yell at Ahsoka and, like, tell her to stop and then tell her something else. So it's like, take one. Wait, Ahsoka, it's a trap. Okay, wait, nope, we're going to shoot from this angle now. I don't think I want to see her running away. I think I want to see her running towards the camera, as CAD Bane, like, boogies out the other side. Okay, go. Wait, Ahsoka, we'll take them together. Okay, cut, good. All right. And then they use both of them. Yeah. That's the way it felt to me.
Yeah, in any case...
it's like one of those times that they do like a shot reverse shot. Like in Batman and Robin. When Robin is... Is it Batman and Robin or is it Batman Forever? I think it's Batman and Robin. Where one of them comes like up out of... like some watery swamp thing. And I think he's got like some vines on him or some shit. And they like come up out of the water and then just reverse the footage like back down into the water. Like he's being pulled back down in. That's the way it felt to me. Okay. But like a take 1, take 2, like we'll just merge them together and like we got line overlaps.
Yeah. Like, see, that was problematic because I didn't know how far away she was from him between the edits.
she's boogieing super fast, and it looked to me like Anakin kicked into like super fast force running, and still wasn't able to make it there fast enough before the doors close.
Yeah.
So that I enjoyed, just like the dialogue reading.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, a little cringy.
But no, for me, it was just the fact that Ahsoka was so fucking stupid to chase after this guy alone. Like, from a story standpoint, in general, that's what bothered me about that scene.
How many times has she done it, though? Or how many times has Anakin done it? I mean, Anakin is her quote-unquote master. Like, they feed off each other. They learn off each other. This is what they do.
And I don't disagree, but the fact that we're in season 2 and she's still pulling this stupid shit, like, it just reminds me so hard. And I've discussed this before on this show. I know Ahsoka is a fan favorite character. I really fucking hate Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really fucking hate Ahsoka. And watching the show in this format where we're really deep diving into it just really reinforces how much I just cannot stand her bullshit.
Right.
And I get that. I get the idea that, you know, characters grow and, you know, you kind of put them at a lower point to give them that room to grow.
Right.
But the fact that we are season 2 at the beginning, you know, like maybe we find for this character other places to grow other than just doing some weird, stupid shit because teenager or something. I don't fucking know. You know?
So you are saying that she has not grown on you as a character whatsoever?
No, not at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, to me, she's still pulling the same shit that she is doing from the fucking Clone Wars theatrical movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just... And the fact that Anakin literally yells out, "It's a trap," and she's just like, "Whatever, bitch," and keeps going. Like, it's the explicitness of what he says versus her actions that really bothers me from a character standpoint. And I know we've discussed this in other episodes about how the individual episode might try and, you know, correct that or be part of the arc. And some episodes will do better at that than others. Like, the one that still kind of falls flat to me that I'm thinking of really easily is the Lerman episode. Right? Where she kind of gets to a point and then they have her like say a line to like drive home that she had the point, but her actions up to that point still didn't show that she learned anything.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the correct episode either, but
no, you're right. That would have been Jedi Crash and Defenders of Peace. And I think that was like right at the end of Jedi Crash when she's talking to Isla Secura. Mm-hmm. And so I was sticking up for Ahsoka at the beginning of this little interlude. Usually I'm the one that's looking like bigger picture, like series as opposed to episode.
yes.
And I think in this instance, I was looking at this episode in isolation because in the last episode, Holocron Heist, like the whole fucking thing starts with Ahsoka going out, leading a crew and not listening to Anakin and Yularen and losing a bunch of fucking dudes,
Tanks,
right?
and equipment, yeah, and clones, yeah.
And clones.
Yeah.
So this is not that far removed, like within a week, and she's running in full force. And
without paying attention. Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's just her and she's looking bigger picture, like she'll sacrifice herself to save the holocron, but if she sacrifices herself, then she loses the holocron anyway.
Yeah.
So she fights CAD Bane. And she actually has like this nice counter shot to, like, he shoots at her and she deflects it back and hits him. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
that hasn't happened. Anakin's been trying to do that all episode, and it hasn't fucking worked. And that's short-lived because, like, immediately or very shortly after that, she's captured.
Yeah, so here's my note. She bests him, but needs to finish the damn job. So again, like, she starts, like, showboating, essentially. Like, he's down for the count, but then she just starts, like, pushing in his face how much better she is, and then he's like, well, what about this? Grabs her by the leg and shocks her because she can't shut the fuck up and put fucking binders on this guy when he's down. Like,
it's because he called her youngling. Like,
yeah, so
she's got a Marty McFly, Back to the Future 2 and 3 problem of being called a chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for her deal is calling her a youngling.
Yeah,
like,
but then
she's at that point she has to prove herself. So,
but then his point is proven when she gets captured because she's
Absolutely.
a fucking idiot. Yeah. So this whole Ahsoka bit is like, it really came to a head at this moment where I'm just like, I don't like, it just brought back the bigger picture of like and I'm not saying it's wrong to like Ahsoka. If you like Ahsoka, that's fine. But I just see it so much that it just bothers me that I'm like, she comes back on Rebels and people like lose their mind. I'm like, I need to see her head on a pike by the end of the series. like there's no reason she needs to live. Like,
wow.
So that's how I felt during Rebels with her return and her celebrated return.
Spoiler alert, apparently Ahsoka makes it through to Rebels.
Yep. So, anyways, moving forward, because
we've got
beat up this
a
character
droid
enough.
joke where a droid steps on another droid's head and then like slips and falls and shoots what, I don't know, what are they, bombs, explosives, whatever.
Yeah.
Some type of explosive device. Rex had warned everybody against earlier, check your fire, hit one of those, and
things go bad.
Yeah.
Things go boom.
We all lose this fight or something. It's going to be a real short trip, kid. So that's exactly what happens. Bomb goes off, blows up everything or blows up some things.
It's a weird thing because like
it's not as bad as Rex made it out to be.
Yeah. So like one blows up and it's definitely like a boom that kind of pushes them all back, but like nobody dies.
No. Anakin gets covered in some ceiling.
Rubble, yeah. A bunch of rubble does fall. Crushes a bunch of clones and droids, I'm assuming.
And the reason this happens is to like cut them off from the clones. So then he tells Rex like, go to the docking bay, which I thought they were in the docking bay. So I guess go to a different docking bay and wait for me.
And like they need to find a way off the ship too, because they came in tanks that cannot exit the ship.
One thing I don't think we talked about Ahsoka finding Bolo Rapal's body, but they do find Bolo Rapal.
Oh yes, yeah.
Earlier,
yeah, we did skip over
Anakin says, "Hey Rex, like." Basically assigns some troopers to him, like get his body back to the ship. So they're not leaving his body behind.
Which I did appreciate that point.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. We never see his body again, so I don't know what the fuck happened to him.
Yeah, no, never appears.
So we split up at this point. Like the clones can go do their own thing, and they're gonna fight their way to a ship, essentially some type of shuttle. Anakin tries to call Ahsoka. She's knocked out cold. And then she wakes up. She's been captured.
We get a little interlude again with Yularen, who tells Anakin that he needs to abort mission, get back. Anakin...
Like shit's blowing up all over the place.
Yeah.
And we do have these little dramatic cut-ins every once in a while where since this one bomb went off, the bay that they're in is on fire. And there's a whole big stack of a bunch of other bombs. And then even later, like a hose blows. So then it's like
oil gets added to the mix.
Oil or gasoline or
Something,
whatever.
Yeah.
Some type of propellant.
And of course, it's like leaking and dripping and flowing towards the giant pile of, what are they actually? They're like batteries or something, right? Like that, right? The artillery.
No, I think they're like bombs.
Energy thingies. No, they're the energy thingies that get put in the side of the tanks to shoot off the laser thingies, right? Like,
are those not called bombs?
I mean, you can turn them into bombs, but I don't believe they are bombs off the bat. Trying to see. I thought I saw it somewhere in the thingy before. But anyways, so moving forward, we jump back to Bane talking to Ahsoka, who is captured. She has energy binders on that if she tries to use the Force against it, then like they shock her or something like that. There's this weird little moment. Yeah, there's this weird little moment where Bane rips off like one of her beaded Padawan braids.
I totally didn't catch that. But I am currently trying to look at what these bomb things are called, and it definitely brings that up. Yes. They are Silka bead Padawan braid. What hers is called.
And then he like attaches it to his belt or something like that, which is fucking weird. And there's a close up of it, so it's an action that should hold significance of some sort. Maybe not in this episode, but when he attaches it to his belt, it's just like close up of his belt and his hand attaching it.
Okay, so I totally did see this, but I didn't know what was going on. I guess I didn't catch like him pulling essentially part of her braid off. Like I saw him tucking something into his belt a couple of times, and I was like, okay, I don't get it. Like, what is it? Yeah. I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, because he reaches, he like kind of pets her head in some way, and like you just see him like pull a snap, and you just hear like a light snap, and she kind of makes a soft groan at the action of, you know, having her braid ripped out of her head.
Yes. Okay. Apparently these things are called artillery batteries.
Okay.
So you were correct. They're like giant tank batteries.
Something funky,
the shooty pew pews.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like the energy laser power thingy. I don't know. Anyway, so what else we got? So Anakin does show up.
Yeah, Anakin comes running in.
Yep.
Ahsoka is like trapped behind this energy field, and she runs like face first into it, and is like, "Ow!"
Which again, turns out, why does she do that only as soon as the thing comes up? It comes up, then she makes a run for it.
Because she's a dipshit. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I just want to bring that up too, which just as another piece of I hate Ahsoka evidence for me. Like,
yeah, I'm not real sure. Maybe she's used to like all of the other shields that we've seen in this story up to this point, and none of them are consistent and or make sense most of the time.
Nope, not at all.
But this is a shield barricade, and also it's some sort of shock shield where there is some physical discomfort for touching it. Yeah. But she is also, turns out, in like an airlock.
An airlock, yes.
So then this was CAD Bane's plan. Like, separate them, catch one of them, threaten the other one with their life. Mm-hmm. Open this holocron, or I kill the girl.
Yep.
Is what he says to Anakin. Anakin totally gives in and does it. Ahsoka's pissed, but Anakin does it anyway. Mm-hmm. He opens the holocron, and then CAD Bane puts the kyber crystal in.
Yep.
And the holocron like closes around it, but in a slightly different form. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's all he needed. I thought that you needed a Jedi to like read it, but apparently
that's what I thought
put
too.
Put it in the thing.
Here's the other confusing
the holocron
part. Really quick.
Held information. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought the holocron held information too. What's weird to me is like CAD Bane doesn't put the kyber crystal in. He holds it above and then floats into it. Now, who's doing is that? Is that Anakin's doing, or is that just how the holocron works? Because why did Anakin not rip the kyber crystal out of there and then Because what confuses me is, so the kyber crystal goes into the holocron, and shit happens, and as soon as like CAD Bane is feeling satisfied, Anakin force pulls the 2 lightsabers that have been off to the side of the room, and then starts attacking the droids that are in there. But then why couldn't he have done that at any other point?
Because he needed to wait until CAD Bane was distracted.
Which he's distracted when he has one hand outstretched to put the kyber crystal in.
Because I think maybe he was like this, other than that. Like, finger over the button to
for
open
Ahsoka.
the door.
Okay, that makes some sense, but it's still just like a weird... I just didn't know why the kyber crystal was floating into it, so...
As far as the floaty crystal goes, and spoiler alert, I'm going to bring up Infinity War again.
Uh-huh.
But a couple times in Infinity War happens where there's an Infinity Stone, and the person with it, transferring it to another person, doesn't have any type of special fucking powers, and it just like floats across, like dramatically.
Yeah,
floating.
it does. Yeah. Well,
I don't
because
like fucking toss it, like do something, but.
Well, because, like, the Tesseract he takes straight out of Loki's hand. The Time Stone floats across because Doctor Strange is doing that.
Is he, though? Like, is that one of his...
He has mystic powers. I think he has the power to do that.
But he just, like, he takes it out and he just, like, opens his palm and then it, like, force floats across. And then you see, like, at some point there's a change of... I know this is... off topic, but it's the same. It's the same type of thing, is what I'm saying. And it happens a couple times in Infinity Wars, and unfortunately, in storytelling, sometimes in modern day, like the I don't want to call it mystical because that's not even what it is. Like, just like the artistic choice of like having this thing like float slowly through space for like dramatic purposes.
Because what other stones do float? It's just the time one, isn't it? Because the Soul Stone
could be
ends up in his hand after, spoiler alert, he gets rid of Gamora. And then the Reality Stone, we don't actually even see him picking up. He just has it.
Yeah.
And then...
okay, so it's probably just the Time Stone.
It's just the Time Stone, I think.
I'm stuck on that one Time Stone.
Which, again, it's... I really think, because again, so you have to remember, because both Loki and Doctor Strange have that weird ability to hide the Time Stone in obvious places. So Loki,
like their butts.
Yeah. So Loki literally makes it apparate from his butt, and then if you pay attention to where Doctor Strange grabs it from, he grabs it from, there's the starry background. It's one of the stars he plucks out. And it's the Time Stone. But again,
how many times have you seen this movie?
Like three or four times now. Yeah. Yeah, it's because I saw it right before spoiler as to when we were recording this. I just took a week vacation. I saw it right before I went on vacation, and then my buddy and I sat down and watched it again because he hadn't seen it yet. So we watched Infinity War.
I just picked it up a few days ago, so I haven't had time to review it as much as I would like to.
Yeah. So yeah, give it a watch, and then notice where Doctor Strange especially I think where he pulls the Time Stone out of is very interesting.
Yeah, out of his butt.
Yeah, out of his butt, out of his starry butt. But anyways, so Anakin attacks.
I was gonna say you said.
Anakin attacks.
Got some lightsabers and attacks some droids and shit.
Attacks some droids. CAD Bane opens airlock door. Ahsoka grabs on, is holding on. Anakin takes one of the droids, throws it at the door, undoes the shield, starts to grab, or it starts sucking everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
CAD Bane has some like blasters on his boots and starts just flying them back into the ship. Shuts the door behind him.
He's got Peter Quill.
Yeah, like boosters, I guess. Like
yeah,
boosters.
Bootsters.
Yeah, boosters. He gets out of the fucking room. So then Anakin and Ahsoka are left, and they're both holding on for dear life as their air is getting sucked out of that thing. Anakin's on the side with the door control, so he is reaching for the button. Ahsoka lets go at some point, and then Anakin grabs him, or Anakin grabs her. He hits the button, door slowly starts to shut. They're all good there. Yeah.
Yep, we're good. Little bit of drama.
Yeah.
But Ahsoka is saved. Anakin's still alive to turn into Darth Vader later.
Yep. And then outside of the room, Bane calls Newt to let him know that he was able to use one of the Jedis to open the holocron. Newt tells Bane to transmit the info before he sends a ship to try and rescue him. Bane refuses the help and says, "Hey, I have my own way to get out of here."
Got my own plan.
Rex and the clones are still fighting in the hangar bay, and there is a shuttle. Yeah, they're still shooting, hitting nothing because there's only so many droids in that fucking thing. The droids, to be fair, aren't hitting anything either, so I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, this is another Sheathipede class transport. It's kind of the standard transport that we see.
Yes.
4 feet and a spine up top. So.
Yeah. Yep, same thing. So there's a open ramp on the back leading into it. Some of the clones are making their way into that thing, while the other ones are still kind of dispatching against the other droids that are around. The Rex and the clones are ready to leave, and they calm Anakin to tell him as much. He tells them to leave so that he can go after the holocron, which he deems is most important.
No. He told them to stay.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, okay. So earlier when the bomb went off in the other docking bay, he tells Rex, go find transport, wait as long as you can.
Okay.
And then go. And then, so now that CAD Bane has the holocron with the kyber crystal in it, when he comes to Rex is like, we gotta go now, the ship's gonna blow. Anakin says, no, I gotta get the holocron. And then Ahsoka says,
they start running down the hall.
They're running down the hall the whole time. And this is when Ahsoka stops because she's like, no, the docking bay is this way. And then she yells at Anakin, lectures him. She's like, no, Master, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
If you keep going, everybody's going to die. Otherwise, we got to go so we can escape.
Yeah.
So then they run down to the docking bay, and they scurry up into the ship. They're on the loading platform, loading ramp. There you go. The loading ramp to the ship, the entrance ramp to the ship. And Anakin looks up and sees a trooper pull a blaster, shoot CAD Bane in the face. CAD Bane falls down to the ground, so Anakin's like, hey, chill for a second, basically, and then gets the trooper down, puts him in the thing, and as the trooper's walking in, nursing his shoulder or whatever, Anakin goes, did you get the holocron? And he says, no, Master, or whatever he says. I don't remember exactly. Yeah. No, sir. So then Ahsoka goes, ooh, let me go get the holocron. And then Anakin goes, no, there's no time.
Yeah.
So this is why we said earlier, they flip-flop back and forth.
It goes back and forth, yeah.
One of them's like, we don't have time to do this. And the other one's like, yeah, we do. And then they talk it out. And they're like, okay, you're right. And then the other one's like, oh, now I need to go to this. And the other one's like, no, we don't have time. Blah, blah, blah. Back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth. And it's
so the door closes, the shuttle takes off, the ship blows up.
Yep, right as they get out of there. The oil,
the hose squirt of oil, fuel, propellant, gasoline
catches fire.
Stuff catches fire and blows up all of
those battery thingies,
artillery batteries.
Yep. So they're flying away.
Goes the dynamite.
Yep. They're flying away, and they're talking about how Bane is now dead, but then Anakin brings up that he still feels them in the Force.
Yeah, he says it's weird that Bane is dead, but I can still feel him.
Yes. So just to rewind a second, when they are picking up the trooper, when he says no, sir, it's very obviously a different voice than all the other clones.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Just gonna throw that out there. I'm just gonna throw out there that it's definitely a different voice. And my general rule for all horror films is that if you don't see somebody die directly on screen, then they aren't dead. And the way that we see the shot happening, you see a trooper shooting somebody in the face. We don't see other person's face, even when they fall down.
CAD Bane.
We see a hat.
I saw it with my own face eyes.
Yeah. And then he falls behind some boxes and nobody double checks the body. So just gonna throw that out there. Clone comes on.
My own face eyes.
Clone comes on. That does not have a New Zealand Kiwi accent. So just gonna throw that all out there. Anyways, they land back on the what is it, the Resolute, right?
Yep.
The Resolute, and Yularen is there. Oh, and we missed something before too, where Yularen was like, "Why am I always getting paired with Anakin Skywalker?" And he gets all pissed off about that shit. We're gonna talk about that line at some point, I think. But yeah, so Yularen is just very, very, very pissy. But they land back on the Resolute first.
He's not too happy to be Anakin's military heterosexual life mate.
Yes, or just in the same room with him at this point.
Yeah.
It's like the last couple episodes of The Real World when like everybody's all fucking hating each other. We're at that phase already. It's the start of season 2.
It's probably like when Chewie gets into the shower with Han, except for if it was like 3 years later and they'd been bunking together and Han was being a half douche all the time, like getting him into trouble.
Yeah, and all Han really wants is just a moment to himself.
a little soapy selfie time.
Yeah, just a little self-reflection time, maybe. So, Ahsoka does apologize for basically getting caught and all the trouble that came with. Anakin reassures her that it was his fault start to finish.
Yeah. He apologizes back to her.
Yeah, he apologizes back. And I appreciate the moment. And again, I don't want to nitpick Ahsoka's animation, but there's the look she gives is this weird look of I was hoping for maybe relief from her face, but they give her a smile that looks like a and I get that this is what Anakin's doing, but it's like the absolution of responsibility, you know. So like a kid gets caught stealing candy and the cop goes, "You're fine," and instead of the kid being like super apologetic about it and like learning his lesson, the kid is more of like a super fucking sweet, awesome, like I just got away with stealing candy, right?
Smug.
Yeah, it was just like a weird smile. And again, I'm gonna chalk this one up to maybe animation limitations. Maybe like they were just trying to animate too fast and they weren't really sure, because it really bothers me then in the other situation if it is like this weird like smug like shit, I just got away with murder, you know.
Yeah, and that's this whole like what production number things are and shit like that. I'm wondering if that has to go back to like story itself and not have anything to do with animation, because this is 113. So the first part of the Clone Wars movie, A New Padawan, is 118.
Yeah.
None of it makes any fucking sense.
No. Like
technologically, as far as
like,
right,
you know,
but
even then, like if you're working that long on a fucking script, I mean, like, what are the minute details that's preventing it from getting a final draft before you send it off to like production? You know,
Right.
So I agree. There's something funky.
Next time I talk to Dave Filoni, I'm going to ask him what the fuck is
what
going
do production
on.
Yeah, what do production codes mean? Just be explicit. What do production codes mean? Please explain.
Yep. Please.
Please do. So then despite my problem there, I do like this moment as an idea between Ahsoka and Anakin, but then kind of what kills it for me immediately is that the scene, the episode doesn't end there. It completes with an interaction between Anakin and Yularen, who kind of still have their one last back and forth, and it's supposed to be kind of like sly and just kind of in a weird joking manner.
Yeah,
a passive
it's
manner.
just like cocky.
Yeah, it's like this weird passive manner where it's like, well, you didn't come back with the holocron, and you didn't come back with, or like fucking RuPaul is dead, you know.
Mm-hmm. Did you get the Jedi? No.
Yeah,
Did you get the holocron? No. Did you get the
bad
crystal,
guy?
the kyber
No.
crystal?
Anything?
No.
No.
Did you get the bad guy? No. And what's Yularen say? So it's your usual version of success? And Anakin says, well, I won.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
He is alive and he is Ahsoka. I'm not really sure either.
But that was like a serious next to worst case scenario besides actually fucking dying, you know.
Yeah. The last like maybe line of dialogue, I don't know what you want to call it, but Yularen really is just like,
yeah, he just grumbles off in his angry way. That's a good old Harrison Ford impersonation you got going on there.
Oh, very good, very good.
His just grumbly self. But yeah, so like it was just a really weird way to end the episode after what I again am going to assume was meant to be a very serious learning moment with a cocky passive bullshit moment. Between two characters who haven't interacted most of the episodes besides one telling the other that shit's going to blow up any second. Okay. So that bothered me there. So anyways, after that weird grumble, there's the cue loud music and they walk off. So
okay, I have 2 notes on voice acting.
Go for it.
Bolo Rapal is by D. Bradley Baker.
Very nice.
Our fellow Every Clone, right? And Newt Gunray was voiced by none other than Tom Kenny, SpongeBob himself.
Very nice.
So we've got that. So that's the only 2 notes I had on voice acting. So after that, we can go to thumbs up, thumbs down, Lorenzo.
Yeah. You want me to start?
I have a feeling I know where you're going. Are you going where I think you're going?
Yeah. Let me say this. Let me say this first. I've gotten into this weird mode of watching episodes twice now, where before I would just kind of sit with it once, take notes during my first view through. This one I did watch once through without, like, just as an actual viewer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that during that first view through, I actually kind of I saw the episode's problems, but I was still enjoying the episode. I thought it was a fun episode, and I thought it flowed well. But upon the second viewing and getting deeper into it, the problems became too big. So I don't know if I had only seen this episode once, if I maybe would have been a lot more lenient on it and would have gone thumbs up. But I think I was still generally on the fence, and I was going to look past a lot of my issues with it. Mm-hmm. But in recording this episode, it's all just so surface level bullshit to me that I have to go full thumbs down. Like, this is
a full thumbs down. So this is a harsh one.
This is a harsher one. And like I said, if I had only if we were just talking and I didn't take notes, I feel like I would have been. It still might have been a thumbs down, but it would have been more middle of the road.
Right.
But god damn, does this episode have like really weird things about it. All the same, I was still really fucking pissed off with Ahsoka the entire time. Like throughout my first viewing, I was so pissed off with her.
I'm listening.
But I still was down for the episode, but yeah, no. After this whole discussion, after watching it again, after taking notes, just seeing all the weird, it comes down to weird character decisions for me. Just decisions back and forth, and you ending it with the way they go back and forth between role reversal, like Patience Master, versus like Ahsoka, we need to go and not care about the fucking holocron. Like it within the episode, there are character issues that bothered me. You know,
those things definitely, especially the flip flopping, back and forth on the stay go go stay go stay thing.
Yes. Yeah,
happened too quickly.
Yes.
And here's what I'm gonna say. I give this one a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it. And I'll share something with the listeners, is I thought that I had watched this like 2 or 3 times.
Uh-huh.
And I sat down to do a review before we talked about this. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I don't think I've seen this episode yet. I have seen parts of it apparently, but I don't know if I was watching some weird hybrid of like other episodes.
I have nothing for you. I cannot explain that. Yeah.
I cannot either. And one of the episodes that I think that I watched when I thought that I was watching this was actually, I don't even think we'll get to for like several months. Jesus. I don't know what's going on with that. And I don't know. So I thought I was familiar with this, and then gave it a rewatch, and I definitely had seen part of it, but I liked it. I was like, all right, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is better than I thought it was going to be from what I remembered having thought that I had seen it.
Uh-huh.
Talking to you, you're trying to talk me into a thumbs down.
Uh-huh.
Not on purpose.
Yeah.
But throughout, and I totally get all of your arguments.
Mm-hmm.
You may have oversaturated yourself with this episode, and I think if you hadn't have done that, you might have come out at least closer to thumbs up. Maybe borderline, maybe cracking a little bit up.
Yes.
I don't know.
And I like I said, I agree. I won't argue with that, because I have that feeling myself, where I think on the whole the episode is entertaining, you know. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it flows fine. And again, I mentioned this a few episodes back. The show has finally kind of graduated from doing plot A, plot B, where, you know, we can see different viewpoints, but it's all in service of a singular story.
Mm-hmm.
I think this episode does that very well. But again, there's just something on the whole of it that just bothered me just a little too much. So I think even after the first viewing, I was, yes, middle of the road, but I think I still was feeling a thumbs down, you know.
Okay.
From my first viewing.
Here's a question I have for you.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that the DVD version and the Netflix version are the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the version on the DVD is 22 minutes and 36 seconds long, and the version on Netflix is 23 minutes and 37 seconds long. It's a full minute and 1 second longer. Yeah. But I don't think that anything is actually different in the episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the speed of fight scenes or like where the compression happens. I'm going to have to like play these side by side to find out. I can tell you that the color quality on Netflix was way better than the color quality on the DVD. And I was watching it on Netflix on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
And watching it on DVD on my computer,
Huh.
So that should be better, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Well, in any case, I think it's because Netflix is going to be able to air it in high definition, which automatically opens up the color palette versus what is possible on a standard definition DVD. That's the only situation I can kind of see altering that a lot. Have you ever noticed that with any previous episodes, with certain episodes looking more vibrant or anything?
Nope. This is the first one that I've noticed. Generally, I just watch this stuff on my computer. But lately, I've had to take my research mobile.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
Understandable for sure. So I got nothing else for you on that. That's just the ability for high definition just to have a wider color gamut is the only reasoning I can see that. I don't know why it would be a minute longer. I wonder if there's maybe more dead air at either ends of the version that got submitted to Netflix versus,
like the beginning and the end.
Yeah, like if maybe there might be like some weird like black screen that goes on for a little bit longer towards the end or something weird like that,
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I've noticed more of a time gap lately. So yeah. I'm gonna have to sync this stuff up. So
that is odd. So yeah, I'm just watching off the Netflix version for any referential points moving forward for any listener that may be wondering. I do not own the Clone Wars on any home video format. So
I currently own seasons 1, 2, and 3.
So
and the movie, and there was a small collection called A Galaxy Divided, which I think was like the first 4 episodes ish. I don't know. Something like that. So still there's more that I need to pick up.
Yeah. So anyways, anything else to say about?
I think that's it, man. I love CAD Bane. He's nice.
CAD Bane's cool. Too bad he's dead.
Yeah. I know it sucks. Hey, he lasted longer than 1 episode. Okay?
That is true. Yeah, he got a little arc in there. Yeah, he got a bit of an arc going on. So, he went from being a simple bounty hunter to somehow commanding a whole fleet within the span of an episode.
That being said, and this is the last thing I'll say about CAD Bane, other than R.I.P. CAD. I got your back. Yep. He showed some military prowess.
Yes.
He showed the ability to plan. He showed the ability to modify whatever he was going to do because he could identify that his plan was not working and he needed to do something else and kind of come up with things on the go. He demonstrated the ability to set a trap on the fly and have things come to fruition. These are all awesome things, and this is why he is an awesome character, and it's really unfortunate that he just got shot in the face by a clone trooper because he was taking the time to talk to Newt Gunray.
Yep.
One of my notes at one point in time was, okay, tap the brakes. We got to talk to Newt Gunray.
See, again, character decisions. That was another note I did take. I was like, why is he not escaping and then talking to Newt? Like, we know they have the ability to talk to people in certain shuttles and vehicles.
It happened like 3 times throughout the episode. It was, I don't know where the commercial breaks were in this, but as far as the action goes or the story through line goes, like those are the commercial breaks of what's going on in this episode. Is like tap the brakes, talk to Newt Gunray for a little bit, let's all recollect and move on from there. And the 3rd time it happened, didn't work in Cad Bane's favor.
Nope, not at all. So
yeah.
Okay. Let's get our normal
pluggy plug time.
Yeah, plugs. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Just been swimming in the circle for too long. If you would like to reach out to us, Kevin is in charge of our Twitter, which is at NotTheNerds. You can also reach out to us by email at notthenerds.podcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
We also have a Facebook presence, which is at NotTheNerds Podcast. So just search that on Facebook. You'll find us in some capacity. I need to get back into updating that as well, because that one is my thingy, but I have not been able to do that lately.
Lorenzo has been bad.
Yeah, I know, so bad. I think I'm like maybe 3 weeks or so behind on updating that.
Lorenzo has been terrible.
Oh, so bad. But if also you'd like to reach out to Kevin, who put together our artwork, you can reach out to him at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter. And Lindsay put together our music that you hear at the beginning and end of each episode. And if you'd like to reach out to her for any music production stuff, you can reach out to her at strangefantasymusic@gmail.com. Is that everything? Yep. That's everything.
I think that's all.
All right. Until next week, I've been Lorenzo Fon.
I am Kevin Horde.
Yeah.
Continually.
All right. Talk to you next week.
See you later, nerds.